So if you're figuring out what exactly is the difference between a data scientist and a data analyst, this video is going to make things very clear for you. Welcome to Edureka's tutorial on data scientist versus data analyst. So our today's agenda is to understand who is a data scientist and data analyst, the role of a data scientist and a data analyst with the help of an example, responsibilities of data scientist and data analyst, and moving on forward to data scientist versus data analyst, the key points that sets them apart, eligibility criteria for both for data scientist and data analyst, key skills for data scientist and data analyst that can help you decide which job role is right for you, and salary estimation both in terms of Indian currency and US dollars. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to Edureka's YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an update. Also, if you're interested in online training certification, do check out the link given in the description. So moving on forward, let us understand who is a data scientist and data analyst. When we talk about data scientists, the first thing that sets them apart is scientist. So a data scientist works with diverse data sets. That means experimenting with diverse data. This means working with either companies' data and also data from other sources, like data located on different servers or different machines or locations. So a data scientist experiments and works with data. Now, to experiment, data scientist uses machine learning, and he uses machine learning models and test models iteratively to make predictions from the data. And these predictions, they have the potential to solve business challenges and problems. Now, when a data scientist makes predictions, this also helps a data scientist to discover the patterns and the hidden opportunities from the data, to draw insights from the data. Now, moving on forward to who is a data analyst now. A data analyst would work with company-specific data. That means limited data that is already there in company's database, or it could be also acquired from a third party if need arises. And a data analyst will use statistical tools and softwares to analyze the data and not machine learning models. So this is the basic difference between the two. And data analyst will not create or do repetitive testing of the ML models, but rather would stick to statistical tools and softwares to make predictions and analyze the data. And data analysts also would create reports, build interactive dashboards to showcase the trends from the data. And data analyst utilizes the data to solve immediate problem of the business at hand. Now, after having said this, let us understand this with the help of an example. And this example is from a pharmaceutical company which is involved in end-to-end drug development services. So the role of a data scientist in a pharmaceutical company would be to conduct research using existing and novel statistical methods and using software tools and databases for integrative analysis of genomic data. Also will act as a point of contact of data requests and delivery. Now, a data scientist here in a pharmaceutical company would also be involved in supporting development and documentation of data. Now, this data has to be cleaned and transformed, so various procedures are being involved here. Data scientists would also study the feasibility and statistical analysis plans here so as to develop a strong business plan, right? The another important role is to develop and implement procedures. Now, this is vast, and this would include various skills by a data scientist. And this will include collecting, organizing, coding, creating machine learning models, and analytical databases. So this is the role of a data scientist in a pharmaceutical company. Now, moving on forward to role of a data analyst in pharmaceutical company will be involved in designing, building, and maintaining the databases. Now, since it is a pharmaceutical company, a data analyst will maintain the drug list. And it will also identify requirements, data integration. Data analyst will assist the medical team in analyzing and maintaining the formulas using MS Excel and SQL management. So the knowledge of SQL and Excel is must for a data analyst. Ensuring compliance with benchmark tools is another yet role a data analyst plays, because compliance and benchmark is something which is being set by governing organizations within an ecosystem. So these standards have to be adhered to, and that's what data analyst does. A data analyst will also monitor and report on program outcomes by using various matrices, which we will see in the later part of the video. He will also analyze and create reports and presentations for the management to make further decisions about the business. And also, one more thing that data analyst does is that he will also work with outside vendors to assist business-related concerns. So for this, communication skills are really required, which we will also cover in the coming up slides. Now, in companies, a data scientist and data analyst, they work in team and they have their roles and responsibilities very well defined. Let us look at some of the job responsibilities that a data scientist and data analyst needs to perform based on job postings on Glassdoor. So the job responsibility of a data scientist posted by Deloitte requires here that a data scientist need to know Python to manipulate data into usable formats, pull information from APIs, and automate the repeatable task. Now, this means that strong knowledge of Python is required by a data scientist. The responsibility is that of a data scientist. Another responsibility we see is that it is machine learning and NLP techniques to apply them to unstructured data to make them more meaningful and draw insight. So for this, a data scientist would be needing machine learning tools and techniques. Another responsibility is that data science and algorithms to make predictive and prescriptive analysis. As we can see, this is the responsibility of a data scientist. Now, responsibilities of a data analyst is to extract data from primary or secondary sources. Now, this could be company's database or from a third party where the company is dealing with or has some business concern. The knowledge of programming language is again another requirement. So coding knowledge, programming knowledge is required. Again, developing and maintaining databases is yet another requirement. Performing analysis to assess quality and meaning of the data. So this means that performance reporting and matrices reporting is required here. Review reports and performance indicators. So this is yet another requirement which we have already covered in our previous pharmaceutical example. So this is also required as a data analyst in a different environment, I would say. And also to use statistical tools to identify, analyze, and interpret patterns and trends in complex data sets. All right, so this is what a data analyst does. Now, moving on forward, this is just in a nutshell consolidated responsibilities of a data scientist versus data analyst, which is again being taken from a lot of Glassdoor job postings. So all in all, if I can sum it up, I can say that a data scientist is majorly concerned or involved in building and testing machine learning models and iterate machine learning models to improve the performance. Now, for this strong foundation of machine learning algorithms and their working is required by a data scientist. And a data scientist would also work with diverse data sets, complex data sets. They will perform feature engineering. That means cleaning of the data, preparing the data so well to feed before or to give it as an input for a machine learning model so that the predictions are really accurate. And if they are not accurate, improving the performance, iterating the machine learning model over and over, and conducting various experiments with the data until a very good accuracy or an acceptable accuracy of prediction is being attained. Also, the ability to deploy, validate, and monitor machine learning models, along with coordination and collaboration with other teams like engineering teams, is also a responsibility of a data scientist. So all in all, to perform all these responsibilities, a data-driven approach is required in a data scientist in order to uncover the hidden patterns from the data. So the main thing is that a data scientist has to uncover hidden opportunities from data by using machine learning tools and data science techniques, which we will also study further. Now, for a data analyst, gathering data from databases, maintaining databases, and accessing database is the key responsibility. So for this, a knowledge of SQL is really needed, is must here, and which we will also discuss shortly. Now, statistical analysis and reporting. So any statistical tool or software for analysis of the data, reporting tools, the knowledge of reporting, that is essential for a data analyst. Performing analysis to assess quality of data is yet another responsibility. Now, a data analyst is also concerned with creating reports and dashboards and presentations for the management. So for a data analyst, the knowledge of business intelligence tools and preparing presentations and creating reports, it's again very important. Also collaborating with other stakeholders and third-party vendors. So for this, communication skills must be needed by a data analyst. So these are the responsibilities in a nutshell, which has been discussed here. Now let us understand the key differences between a data scientist versus data analyst. Now, a data scientist is concerned with a potential business problem. Now, what does this mean? This means that the problems that businesses might face in future, which is still not in sight. And this is what we have been discussing in the entire video, to uncover the hidden opportunities in the data. Data scientists uncover hidden patterns from the data to unleash or uncover the potential business problem that the business might face in future. So this is forward looking. Whereas the data analyst is concerned with a current business problem, day-to-day business problems, that means that the routine business challenges. For example, in a pharmaceutical company's example, where a data analyst is involved in studying the trends and the patterns of the drug, how much the sale is being done, or for example, the prices are low or high, where the market is really potential and not. These are the potential problems, or I would say current business problems, that a data analyst has to deal with. Now, another difference is that a data scientist generates questions and find answers. Now, data scientist has to work with a lot of data. So by figuring out and analyzing this data with the help of machine learning models, some questions really come up. And these questions are answered by data scientists. And these questions have the potential to make strategic decisions and really impactful decisions in the business. For example, in a pharmaceutical example, if we take, then a data scientist is involved in research of novel techniques which are not pre-existing. So he has to research new techniques for drug discovery. For any kind of a research that is involved, a data scientist would be there generating questions and finding answers. Whereas a data analyst will find answers to given questions. Now this, for example, a management gave questions to data analysts that why the trend of a particular drug is not so good and which drug is really performing well in the market, so that the subsequent decision would be to produce the drug which is doing well more in the market and create strategies so that the other drugs also perform well. So this is what this really means. Now moving on forward to a data scientist uses predictive analysis, machine learning models for making decisions. Now, this means that techniques used by data scientists, they are majorly data science techniques like machine learning, artificial intelligence, and NLP techniques. And these techniques are deployed to make predictive models, carry out forecasting, and do predictive analysis along with statistical tools to aid better decisions. Whereas a data analyst will not be concerned with machine learning, but largely will be using visualization tools like Power BI and Tableau and statistical softwares like SPSS and SAS or SAS to carry out the statistical analysis of the data. Now, moving on further, a data scientist usually conduct A or B experiments. Now, this means that a data scientist has to iteratively perform various experiments, and this will include like comparing the result of two independent tests and carrying out A or B experiments, and after comparing the results, you'd be improving them by ML algorithm. Now, this is a very time-consuming and a complex process, as many iterations are required here. And as we have discussed this in roles and responsibility of a data scientist also in our previous slides. Now, on the other hand, a data analyst do not require machine learning models iterations. But I would say it is quite simple that they do not test, retest, and compare the results of ML models, but they would design, create reports, dashboards, presentations, build interactive dashboards for the management to help in decision making. Now, moving on forward to something really very interesting, and that is, remember any stories narrated when we were children? We still remember them, right? Why? It is because the stories make the data even more impactful and compelling. The way the data scientists communicate the findings is through a story aided by visuals. A data scientist has to find out patterns from the data that can impact businesses in long run. So they have to communicate in a way that will be effective and yet meaningful. Thus, storytelling comes to their rescue. While a data analyst will not be concerned in putting efforts to explain the data in a form of a story, but rather will communicate via presentations and reports using business intelligence tools like Power BI and Tableau. Now let us understand the eligibility criteria for a data scientist and a data analyst. All in all, these are also the qualifications that companies require. Now this also depends upon the company one applies to, and these are just basic few requirements of a data scientist. Graduation in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is required. Post-graduation and PhD is preferred because this signifies the candidate's possess in-depth knowledge and dedication towards a subject, and can apply these learnings to solve the business challenges because of the gained knowledge over the years. Even if you have a specialization in domains like mathematics, economics, statistics, and computers, this could be counted as one of the qualifications for a data scientist. And of course, cognitive and analytical skills are required as they help to map the candidate's problem-solving ability, pattern recognition, speed of information processing, data analysis, and others. Now moving on further to the eligibility for a data analyst. Now for a data analyst, the qualification bar is not as high as set for a data scientist, and the basic eligibility are graduation, and not necessarily in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, but it is open to many of the backgrounds. Specialization in domains like mathematics, finance, economics, and statistics is also preferred. And now this also depends upon the company's profile. Suppose you're going in bank and you're a banking business analyst, then finance requirements require statistics and economics would be a good help. Communication and analytical skills are required, as a data scientist has to act as a connecting link between a company and the client, so third-party service providers and other stakeholders also. Thus, reporting, organization, data analysis, communication, these are really required in a data analyst. So now moving on to the key skills for a data scientist and data analyst. Now in this, there's a contrast here. Now on the left side, you can see the responsibilities, and on the right side is the skills. This is of the same company. Again, the data is taken from the Glassdoor, and now we can see, we will understand this by one, picking up one responsibility and mapping it with the another skill. So like for example, the responsibility is to write and execute Python scripts. The skill required will be strong programming skills like Python in this case. Another responsibility is machine learning and NLP techniques. Now, to bring out order to the unstructured data, the required skill in which case is data scientist ecosystem or data science ecosystem knowledge like NLP, statistical techniques, neural networks, etc. So I can say that the skills must match the responsibility. If the company requires you to learn Python, then a data scientist responsible or skills required would be strong knowledge in Python. If suppose the company would be working in R language, then the programming language skills required would be R. So usually Python is preferred, that we would see in the coming slide also. Now let's move on further to the key skills for a data scientist. Now this has again been consolidated after studying a lot of job posting responsibilities. The first skill that we came up with is programming language. Programming language is used for machine learning and analysis of the data. Now the languages that can support analysis of large volumes of data like Python, R, or Java. So in Python, libraries like Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, deep learning libraries like TensorFlow, the knowledge of the same is required. Another skill is machine learning, the ability to understand the algorithms, innate mathematics, the working of algorithms, and how to improve any algorithm in case of inaccurate prediction, that is hyperparameter tuning. A data scientist must know. NLP for structured and unstructured data processing. Now, next technology is big data. To extract information from unstructured large data that simple data processing softwares cannot handle. So big data technologies like Hadoop, Spark, Kafka is required. Now another skill is statistics for analyzing and understanding data, for better interpretation of data. So statistics knowledge, both descriptive and inferential, is required here. And for statistics, even R and Python is preferred. And statistical softwares like SAS, SPSS, or Excel can be used. Now, data mining. Data mining is yet another skill. It is used for extraction of patterns and knowledge from large amount of data. And some data mining techniques are classification, clustering analysis, regression analysis, and so on. Now, coming to key skills for a data analyst. Now, these skills again depend on the job responsibilities mentioned by the company, but all in all, the major key skills are statistics and visualization. So knowledge of any statistical tools like SPSS or SAS, and visualization tools like Power BI and Tableau for dashboard reporting and building. Excel, a good working knowledge of Excel is required by a data analyst to analyze the data. But Excel has its own limitations because it cannot process large, huge amount of data. So for that, big data technologies are required here. So database, and since we have already discussed that a data analyst uses limited or works with limited amount of data, so Excel for few companies, for most of the cases, does well. Now, coming to databases, a very good and strong knowledge of database is required. This is required because a data analyst has to work with data, the stored data, to retrieve the data, to access data. So a language which can help to access data, to modify data is required. So good knowledge of SQL or NoSQL databases is also required now. NoSQL databases like MongoDB, Oracle, or MySQL, and others. Reporting. Now we've seen that reporting is really important for business intelligence, for project reporting, for generating graphical data reports. So softwares like Tableau, Power BI, DataPine, Pro Workflow, they're used for reporting, whereas there are other reporting tools like for a data analyst. And these data reporting tools are really very vast, and it depends upon the company which software it uses. So I can name just a few reporting tools like SAP, Jira, specific softwares from Microsoft can be used. So again, this depends upon the company, which software the company is using for reporting. Programming language. Programming language like Python or R for better analysis, manipulation, and visualization of the data. Now in Python, the knowledge of NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, Seaborn library is required. And if you're working with R, then dplyr or ggplot2 can be good to learn. Now moving on forward to the salary estimation. Now the salary is dependent upon location, the company, and the experience, and also the skill set one possesses. Since the skills in a data scientist is required is more, and also the qualifications, so the salary is also, but obvious, would be on a higher side. So now from an Indian perspective, if we see, the salary of a data scientist at the beginner level having 1 or 2 years of experience is 6 lakhs per annum. For the senior level having 5 or 8 years of experience, it is 10 lakhs per annum. And for the expert level having 10 or 15 years of experience, this is 20 lakhs per annum. Now, coming to the salary estimate for a data analyst, at the beginner level, it is 3 lakhs per annum. For the senior level, it is 6 lakhs per annum. And at the expert level, it goes to 10 lakhs per annum. Again, these figures can vary depending upon the company, location, and also your experience. Now, the salary estimate for data scientists in terms of US dollars, at the beginner level, it is $95,000. The senior level, it is $135,000. And at the expert level, it is $165,000 to $250,000. Now, the salary estimate for a data analyst, again, would be at a lower side. So the beginner level, it is $45,000. For the senior level, it could be $65,000. And at the expert level, it is $85,000. Now, to sum up, a data scientist may make more money, so you might be inclined and interested in that field. But keep in mind your education background, skill set, and the responsibilities that you might need to perform. A data analyst, you can always upscale yourself and enter data analyst field with different backgrounds, as it is relatively an easier profile to work. The qualifications are also not as stringent as for a data scientist. Chances are more to make your inroads as a data analyst than as a data scientist. A data-driven personality is really what the companies look for in a data scientist. Whichever field you choose must interest you. Based on the findings and information in this video, you can now very well decide which field is right for you. This is it from my side. Happy learning and thank you.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!